Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we study the life and times of Jeff Staple, a driving force behind streetwear and sneaker culture for over 25 years. And then we dive deep into his Web3 project, the STAPLEVERSE, of which Phase 3 is about to launch. So if that sounds good to you, smash that like button and let's get into it.
It's honestly hard to describe what I do. Sometimes what I say is I'm a teacher, because teachers, you sort of think of them typically like in a classroom setting. My classroom is street culture. Community is the essence and the byproduct of everything that I do. So if it's not for the community, then none of this stuff even matters, even makes sense. Without the community, you just have commodities. Whether you're making something or just consuming and viewing something, you should just do what you feel is right if you just believe in yourself. My name is Jeff Staple. I'm the founder and creative director of Staple. I've been designing for the better part of 30 years. I started literally breaking into art school in order to silkscreen my original shirts to now having a team of 50 people, quarter century in street culture. I was a pioneer in adapting this kind of mixed skate, punk, and hip hop culture. It's super important to push your own boundaries. In 2005, we released a physical sneaker that really created one of the first riots ever and really put sneaker culture on the map. It was pandemonium when I got there. The block was locked down. You could see baseball bats peeked out from under the snorkels. You could see knives. I saw a machete, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? The Staple brand was officially founded in 1997. I wasn't really trying to start a clothing brand at the time. You probably had less than 12 to 20 stores in the whole world that sold this type of clothing. I wasn't thinking I'm gonna start a company. It was like an art expression, It was like, I have ideas. You could either do it on paper, like a silk screen, but I was like, I want a silk screen on a shirt. The art teacher actually told me, you're not allowed to print on shirts in this class. And in my head, I'm like, well, why the fuck not? What difference does it make to you, right? And so when he told me no, me and a homie decided, you know what? Let's leave the window of the silkscreen lab unlocked. I'm using my own supplies. And we would fill up a pillowcase filled with this shit, throw it into the window, and then we would climb into the window at night after school's closed, and let's just use their facilities to print shirts all night long. And we did that for months. But on a t-shirt, when I'm on a bus or a subway, mad people get to see my message, and I felt like that was much more influential to do it that way, and that's really all it was. Take the subway, I take the bus, I always want to absorb what's happening. Right. If you're just keeping an eye on real people on real streets, you'll never get bored. I felt like every brand needs an icon, right? So you have Nike, you have the swoosh, you have Adidas, you have the trefoil, And I wanted an icon, and I always admired brands that had animals, that were able to own an animal. So we started to adapt the pigeon as a real icon for what to me represented New York hustle, that street mentality of just get it by any means necessary. That's what a pigeon does, right? If you look at a pigeon, the way it survives, it's not supposed to survive in a city, but it succeeds in the city. It just manages a way to win. Everyone calls me a control freak. That's what's helped me survive for all of these decades. I'm equal parts artistic, but also equal parts business-minded. Quality control is one of the first things that I learned really early on. Nobody can do it better than you. I'm involved in the design, creative direction, the marketing, the storytelling. I'm involved in every single touch point.
So we just talked about you're basically starting in Web 0, and you alluded to Web 2 and Web 3. What was your introduction to quote unquote Web 3? Did you buy cryptocurrency earlier? Were NFTs your first kind of foray into it? How did Web 3 enter your life?
I just started observing what was happening. People were telling me about NFTs, and similar to what you were saying, the same way that people were you can't print on shirts, you're wasting your time printing on shirts, you're wasting your time collecting sneakers. What are you wasting your time on these fucking JPEGs? This is such a crock of shit, it's a Ponzi scheme, right? So I'm hearing that same shit today that I heard back then, so I could definitely relate. But then Artifact called. And I started talking to Artifact. And Artifact, you have to remember, Artifact in 2019, 2020 wasn't Artifact today, right? This is three cool guys that we just bonded over IG DMs, and we just started talking.
It's like, no, like we were both on the ground, not knowing what the fuck we're doing, and we decided to build together. Very similar to Nike SB back in 2005. Like,
one thing that stands out to me here is like, at that point when Artifact reached out, you have a reputation, like you've built this brand, you have this business. You're giving access to essentially up-and-comers in that case. And to me, that's like a really fascinating thing. Is that kind of something that you value and that you've done, you know, on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, that's an incredible observation you just made, because that is a trait of mine that I think is pretty unique to me. I think a lot of people hold their brands very sacredly, as they should. You know, I play a lot of poker. I've been to the World Series of Poker a couple times. And so I have this mentality where I'm like, this motherfucker here, I don't trust his ass, all in, right? And that defies the odds. So when I meet with people like Artifact, and even though they're statistically like, what are you doing, Jeff? You're about to jeopardize your brand into this whole landscape that could be a complete sham and bullshit with these young kids who haven't really proven themselves yet. How are you going to do this? Yo, because it feels right. I would say on the flip side of that, right after Artifact, we did a VeeFriends Gary Vee collaboration, right? Gary Vee posted on his Instagram, Persuasive Pigeon, which is one of his VeeFriends. I wrote in his comment, should Staple Pigeon and Persuasive Pigeon have a meeting, right? And then he writes back publicly on the DMs, like, you know, check your DM. Got his cell phone number. Within 10 minutes, we were on a FaceTime call, and we made a collaboration happen between VeeFriends and Staple. So Gary did the same thing. Why would Gary just reach out? I mean, you know, granted, yes, I have a blue check or whatever, but like still, like, I ain't on Gary's level. You know what I mean? Like, so for him to like reach down and be like, yo, Jeff, what you do is dope. I like what you're doing. Let's do something. So it's sort of just like passing the baton back and forth. But I definitely have that gambler's mentality when it comes to like taking risks on people. And then most recently, we founded STAPLEVERSE, which is my foray into everything Web3, blockchain, NFT, digital asset.
The legend of STAPLEVERSE begins in New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop, sneaker, and street culture, the home of Empire staple pigeons. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So what does it take to not only just survive, but thrive? A hustler's mentality, an insatiable appetite to reach new heights. If things don't go according to plan, you gotta pick yourself up and get back in the air.
You know, I've dedicated the last 25 years of my life to honing my craft. And one of my early goals was to allow different people to enter my world through different portals. It could be street fashion, it could be sneaker culture, it could have been the creative agency, one of the podcast episodes, maybe one of my classes. But whatever door you enter through, the important thing was to form a global community around not only my work, but the work of everyone that I ever had the honor of collaborating with. And now we have the freedom to change how we think about art, design, fashion, music, and the culture. Anything is possible now. The only thing we have to do is dream it and then build it together. I've been learning, exploring, and designing a long-term vision with Steve and my man Benny, who helped build CryptoKitties and NBA Top Shot at Dapper Labs.
We wanted to prove to blockchain space that you can build a sustainable and profitable company as you would with a startup. We come from a startup background. We focus on product development and user experience. You start to see that some of these projects, the people, they've never ran a company before. They don't have the experience for building user experiences that are amazing or seamless. So for us, it's really important. Our biggest mission is to onboard the first billion consumers to the blockchain.
Along with an incredible team. And now today is the day to bring the entire community I've been building along for the ride, together on our own platform into our own future. A whole new world. How about a whole new universe? And this is what I call the Stapleverse. A place where anything that we can dream of can become a reality. So what's the metaverse to me? In short, it's community, but in the virtual. It's ownership for those who participate and contribute. It's also the ability to create without the constraints of the physical world. There's no minimum order quantities, no supply chain issues, no middlemen, or any of the costs involved in starting a new thing. Because while anything is possible in the metaverse, Stapleverse has to be built on the foundation that I've been laying for the last quarter century in the physical world. So it's massively important to me that when I embark on this new adventure, I honor that history and energy. And I want to show all creatives and artists, no matter what you create, your work should exist in the metaverse. And if it's not, you're missing out on one of the greatest opportunities in an artist's life. Because until now, creatives had to rely on other institutions to market and monetize their work, forfeiting equity and control. But in the metaverse, everyone has a fair share in the creative output. The artist, the collaborator, the platform, and most importantly, you. It's not about reselling and flipping either. It never has been. But I do this for me and the people who support. The STAPLEVERSE is going to be a decentralized cooperative, which means that everyone watching and reading this can take part in the process and in the wins. Back in '97, I created a tagline for Staple that we still use today: a positive social contagion. Positive to move forward, social for the people by the people, contagion, something that spreads. A positive social contagion.
Before I continue, if you're new to the channel, hi, welcome. I'm Jerry, host of Into the Futureverse, where I cover alpha and updates on all things Fluff World and the Futureverse ecosystem. And if you enjoy this content, consider supporting the channel by smashing that like button, hitting subscribe, and hitting the notifications bell so you get all my videos in a timely fashion.
We want to become a brand that has a deep affinity for positivity, community, and creative empowerment. That is the STAPLEVERSE mission.
You mentioned the homie Franelations, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not a quote unquote like school designer, but like look at the way he has made himself indispensable in this culture. He could have just been like a fan, but no, he became like a voice, and I love seeing Fran do this and take on this whole new persona, because I remember him as a kid that waited in line for sneakers back in the streetwear day. And now to see him get directly involved, it's also so indicative of Web3, because honestly speaking, in the pre-internet Web 0, Web 1, Web 2 world, a person like Fran wouldn't be able to break through the gatekeepers that were installed to get into the culture. But in Web3, someone like Fran in 6 months could be like a named star in the culture, which is so dope.
2022 marks the 25th anniversary of the founding of Staple, quarter century, like 25 years in the game. I think that only happens with first a lot of love, a lot of passion, consistency, innovation, and just really proud to be able to still be here to talk to you guys today. Last year in 2021, we released the Artifact Meta Pigeon project. I think really changed the game again, a new culture, right? A whole entire new world. And then we launched our own project this year, STAPLEVERSE.
So if I can begin like a genesis of a story and begin telling that story now, this is the place to do it, because I'm in control of my own storytelling. If everyone wants a pigeon, great. But in order to catch a pigeon, you have to feed a pigeon. And New York City pigeons, as you guys know, eat very unique things. They don't really eat like bird food and sunflower seed. You might find like a tea bag stuck in a beak of a New York City pigeon. We sold out of this entire collection. And what I loved is that people got it. So that was phase one. You collect your food up. And then what happened in phase two was our tossing period. So if you could imagine the visual of a guy sitting in the park bench and he's got his food and he's throwing it out there trying to catch pigeons, where you would toss your feed and try to get a pigeon. As in real life, when you try to catch a pigeon, sometimes a pigeon catches you and takes a dump on your head, right? So you get shit on, which is good luck. When you tossed, you either got a pigeon or you got a poop. And so now what we did was we created 3 factions in the STAPLEVERSE.
Find solidarity in your crew. Are you with the Feed Clan, the Hood Pigeon Squad, or the Poop Gang? Choose wisely. Things aren't always just as they appear.
People wanted to join the 3 factions based on their own personality. Some people, the really like savvy, sort of like the statistically minded gamblers, they were like, no, I want all 3 coverage. I'm gonna get all 3, So that was phase 1 and phase 2.
Just in the last 9 months, from January to September, we have now done 18 plus exclusive STAPLEVERSE drops. That is drops strictly for the STAPLEVERSE community, 18 all told. We did a collaboration with Sesame Street, commemoration of what was happening in Ukraine. We did a charity fundraiser for the No More Wars Ukraine team. We then did our first Crocs Sidewalk Lux Pigeon. We did an amazing NASA watch collaboration with the good people at Anacorn Watches. We dropped a very limited edition, full-size run pair of a custom staple New Balance 2002R. Don't forget, we also took some grails of the culture. I mean, obviously we couldn't supply the entire community with these, but these are some really super limited edition artifacts of sneaker culture that we released. We raffled these off to the community as well. We've also been really focused on exclusive community first Stapleverse events.
And you guys traveling together?
No, we actually just met each other. It's the same, it's community. We're all friends.
Shout out to Stapleverse. Feed Fest is live right now, Monday, June 20th to June 24th. Shout out to the Stapleverse. Beautiful food.
So it says order yourself an Americano and then take a selfie sipping coffee. All right, let's do this.
You've never been to NYC? You're messing up.
Sir, we're gonna go to all these dope mom and pop spots. You know what it is? We're trying to link NFT Metaverse world with the real world. You know what I'm saying? Real New Yorker shit. Let's do it. We out, baby. Let's go.
One of the coolest experiences that I've had in the NFT community, where going on a scavenger hunt across all of Manhattan and Brooklyn, and you have to go to these places, you need to connect to your location, find a QR code, do the thing that it tells you to do there. I think it's one of the coolest experiences, mixing Web3 and Web2 into one, and it's really cool to be a part of the first project and the first person who's kind of like leading the charge on that. So big ups to Jeff and the whole team.
And now, just this month, we announced our phase 3 project, which is Sapiens.
As we move on from phase 1, we brought in our artistic collaborator, to phase 3, the artwork and the incredible vision of Rhymes Like Dimes. So dialing in right now, we have the Rhymes Like Dimes team.
My name is Robin Velge. I am the creative part of Rhymes Like Dimes. Freek is handling all the rest.
It's really cool because you could start to see the early genesis of what we're about to do now. It's almost like the initial blueprint. So you have these different characters in our universe, which is so much fun to just be able to create like my own Marvel world, you know, like of just like whatever I want, you know, this make-believe like Gotham that I grew up in. And I also always knew that in this city, there were humans, there were people, right? Started to collaborate with us on the people of New York, or these Sapiens, and just check out the incredibly beautiful artwork that Rhymes Like Dimes has created for us. What it means to be a Sapien, you know, which is like, you want to express yourself, you want to be able to wear different things, you want different clothings, you want different items, you want different accessories.
Equipable outfits. Right now I'm rocking the pink pigeon bomber, the pigeon helmet, and a gold chain. But if I want to change that outfit, all I need to do is come up here to the top left of the screen and change it. I can see this new outfit reflected in the preview. All I need to do is hit equip, sign a message, and I'll see those changes reflected in the NFT's artwork in near real time. All of this is powered by an off-chain equipable system that we've built. This means that you never have to pay gas fees to change the clothes on your character.
The other huge chapter that we're about to embark on is community-driven collaborations. Imagine a world where community, you guys, choose which brands we should collaborate with and what we should collaborate on. Then you guys, the community, votes on things like colorways, patterns, designs, mock-ups. You have your digital self, you have your physical self.
You tie in the ability that I have to have been creating a clothing line for the last quarter century.
The ability, of course, to purchase digital outfits, put it on your character, your Sapiens, while the physical object is being created for you specifically. But the most important thing is that you have a hand in it. You're not only along for the process, but you're actually dictating the outcome of the results. We ain't fucking around here. These are all brands that we have worked with in the past. Okay, this is my Rolodex. These are people that we can call up and do projects with right now. So what this all leads to for me is the dream of true community-driven collaborations, working with world-class global brands, working with me, working with my team here to co-design collaborative projects that you want to see and rock in the digital and the physical. On Skillshare, I'm one of the most prominent instructors on the online learning education program with nearly 40,000 students. And then also my podcast on the business of hype on Hypebeast. Dude, I've interviewed damn near over 120
industry leaders and titans that my main goal will be to bring everyone along for the ride to understand what's happening in Web3 and how this can really, really change the world. We are talking about multi-brands. This is not a single brand operation. We can work with everyone that I just mentioned up here. We don't have any exclusivity deals. We can work with anyone. Community, co-design, digital and physical clothing. We are story driven, and education and mentorship take longer for people to understand and process. But I will not take my brand into meme culture or short-term hype-driven bullshit. So we're gonna go and take the high road with education and mentorship. It's what I'm already known for. And again, I go back to that motto of a positive social contagion that I've had for 25 years now. And that's what we're gonna hang our pigeon hat on. Again, a community-operated creativity house is what we're talking about here. STAPLEVERSE is going to be this creativity house where all of you can collaborate on. And that's what I see the future of STAPLEVERSE being, and I'm super excited about it.
That's why I'm so into it, because I feel the same energy with Web3 that I felt with streetwear and kids hand printing t-shirts back in the day. Innovate even beyond that, because we know that's going to happen. So part of the Sapiens project will allow for that integration of digital, the physical, and back and forth. But we want to add another little, let's call it like a KFC secret spice on top of all of that. That's going to make it even crazier to own one of these assets. I'm really excited about that. I can't reveal it right now, but it's something that like education, learning, mentorship, like it's going to be insane what we're going to do.
For the past few decades that I've been doing this, I have made so many mistakes, messed up so many times. The thing to remember is that like these setbacks are really just learning lessons for you to shape and mold yourself. Doing something like this is almost like molding a piece of clay, and it's a never-ending adjustment.
Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!